The Los Angeles Sparks have been one of my favorite teams to watch in the early WNBA season. Dearica Hamby is playing arguably the best basketball of her career, and you can try and chalk it up to good stats, bad team, but I don't agree with that. I think that she has just been phenomenal. She's been doing great stuff as a facilitator, as a hub of the offense, as a cutter, as a driver. She's just scoring in every which way and being incredibly impactful doing so. Kia Nurse has had an incredible bounce back season. It feels like she's finally gotten right from injuries. Lexi Brown, it's been really great to see her back on court and continuing to thrive and get back into a rhythm. And what I've been most excited about is Cameron Brink and Rickea Jackson. Obviously, the Sparks are in the middle of a rebuild right now. That's what this era is about. Nneka Ogwumike moving on completely signified that. They moved up in the lottery so they could pick Rickea and have those two lottery picks in both Rickea and Cameron. And part of what's been so fun in watching this early season is how well both Cam and Rickea are playing. Cam looks like a future multi-time DPOY as she continues to grow. And there's a ton to talk about with her offensive versatility and growth as well that I'll do a video on in the future. But I'm here to talk about Rickea Jackson today, who has just been a delight to watch in the early season. I think a lot of the things I was most excited about translating for her have at an even higher level than I expected right away. And there are some things that we can dive into in terms of growth as well. But point being, Rickea is a really special prospect looking at a combo forward who's a plus athlete that can really score from all areas of the court. And there's still room for her to keep growing. Why does that matter? I think when you look at where the WNBA is headed, it's all about, yes, pace and space, but it's also going to be about having players with size that can make plays. If you have size, even if you're not the greatest defender, by having size, you have more room and leeway to be versatile and to not be a negative on the defensive end. And to me, I think Rickea is a solid defender. There's room for her to keep growing. But point being, she's bringing all of this as a very versatile scorer who has stepped into the starting lineup recently that can hold her own on defense, of course, with some room to grow. That's where the W's headed. That's what the Sparks are building. And while I think continuing to figure out what their guard play for the future will be, Rickea Jackson is a really special building block. So I want to start off by diving into some of the numbers and things that are sticking out with her, and then we're going to dive into the film of what she's doing on court. A big part of what makes Rickea such a special player and prospect in my eyes is that you often hear the idea of versatility thrown around, but I think Rickea actually embodies the idea of not just being theoretically versatile, but practically versatile. So what do I mean by that? In order to be versatile, you have to be able to do things in a way that is meaningful and impactful. And how does that play out? A defense has to care about what you're doing. And point being, with how efficient Rickea has been as a rookie, I think she's showcasing that she is that level of player in terms of being a practically versatile star in her role. So to run through a couple things, she's currently one of the most efficient players in the league right now. And part of that is a role, to be fair. Like, she's been mostly tasked with playing as an off-ball scorer who gets some on-ball reps. But again, when you talk about a player who's a rookie that is currently top 10, not just top 10, but top 8 in the league in terms of most efficiency metrics, it's hard to not be impressed with that. Just for reference, points per scoring attempt is true shooting percentage, essentially. So, like, you divide points per scoring attempt by 2, you get true shooting percentage. So Rickea has a 62.5% true shooting, which is probably 7 or 8% above league average right now. That's really good as a rookie. It's so interesting to me because so much of the stuff that was talked about with her as a prospect was, is she going to be efficient enough? Is she this? Is she that? And I think if you really watched her at Tennessee and kind of contextualized everything, she was asked to do a lot more on the ball than she was going to be asked to do in the WNBA with very different spacing and principles. And that's not a dig to Tennessee. That's just what it was. And so I think you see her currently as a rookie being put into a mold that is much more suited for her to be efficient right now. Going off that as well, I think you've really been able to see her get to the foul line at a high level, which is something that I was excited about for her. Part of what makes her really fun is being a player who's 6'2", 6'3". She has a really good first step. And while I think her handle has some room to improve, she can really attack players in the front court if they're drawn out to the perimeter with her ability to put the ball on the ground and just get to the rim at will. Adding some context to that, I think people understand that the foul line matters, but to explain why. Number one, Rickea getting to the foul line the way she has is replicable, and doing things replicable is really important. because you don't want it to just be an outlier. You want it to be something you can do routinely. And while I think there can be a tendency to talk about foul drawing in a negative context, when you're talking about a player whose main addition to the court is their scoring and what they can do out of that potentially, it's important to have them be as efficient as possible, right? Getting to the foul line is part of being efficient. And don't hate the player, hate the game. That's the way things get called. But again, like I think when you look at what she's been able to do, with respect to getting to the foul line off of that first step, and the force she's played with, that's really important. Especially when you add in how much she's getting to the free throw line. 23rd doesn't seem remarkably high, but that's okay. Putting it into further context, like all right, the top sixth of the WNBA in terms of getting to the foul line as a rookie. That's really good. And I think that there's room for her to keep growing in that as well. And lastly, we'll dive into this much further at the back end of the video. But what she's shown already as a pick and roll playmaker, as both a scorer and a potential facilitator, has been really promising. And that matters a ton when we talk about somebody who's, more of a 3-level scorer that can really affect the game from all areas of the court. But now let's dive into some of the film showcasing her scoring versatility, some of the room for growth, and then we'll dive into the pick and roll playmaking and ability after, because I think that's the most important part of what we're seeing so far. Okay, so I want to start off by showcasing Rickea's scoring versatility, how the sparks are getting her going, things she's doing well, some things that she can continue to improve on, or that maybe I should even just say things that I want to see her keep maybe working on or fleshing out this year as the season goes on. So we'll start off with this. The sparks are essentially in horns, right? So horns is you have 2 players up here at the elbows, 2 players in the corners, 1 player up top. So Rickea comes up, ghosts the screen. So what I want to highlight first with this, okay, Layshia Clarendon, they're a very good driver. So automatically, Aaliyah Edwards is sticking here for a second in case the screen does come. When you ghost this, though, look, all right, Rickea, think about it like this, all right. This half beat that Aaliyah Edwards spends here, waiting in case Layshia Clarendon drives, opens up this like small extra amount of like half foot, 2 feet of space that Rickea gets. Half foot to 2 feet is a jump, but you get what I'm saying. Rickea gets that extra motion just by coming off that, and also Rickea's strong hand driving is her left. So getting her going to her left off motion is big. Hamby cuts 45, takes her defender with her. So then Julie Van Loo is the only player left, down at the rim. Good strong drive. She avoids the dig. And then Aaliyah does a good job getting back into the picture and walling her off. Also, shout out Aaliyah Edwards. She had a really solid start to the year. And then Rickea hits her patented fadeaway. Money. So that's one of the things I've really liked is, again, they've done a ton of getting Rickea going off ghost screens, any kind of movement to get to the slot or just an emptied side for her to have a more clean driving lane or to face up, where she's really effective and at her best, in my opinion. Again, similar sort of principles. They've played a lot out of horns this year to try and get the most out of their bigs and forwards as playmakers. So Aaron McDonald pitches to Rickea, who's at the top. The Fever are in a pretty heavy denial here. So in other words, they're trying to prevent any kind of handoff from happening. So Rickea has the ball in her hands. She sees her outlet, and Lexi Brown is really not open. There's nothing back towards Aerie. So she says, okay, screw it. I'm taking Katie Lou Samuelson off the dribble, which is a good decision. And I do want to highlight here, number one, good stuff to avoid Aaliyah Boston right there. But also, I love the foul grift here. And I say grift in a positive way because like I highlighted earlier, you want to get those fouls. Getting fouls is found money and an easy way to improve your efficiency. So Rickea's done a really good job she's had like 4 or 5 of these this year where she's like really sold out with her arms to get the foul. And again, I love it because that's important stuff. But again, this is the whole point. Rickea getting into space is so tough because in a lot of ways, she's more like a wing when you talk about her athleticism. I would consider her a forward, but like she's quicker off the dribble and just in general than Katie Lou Samuelson. She can take her off the bounce. She can really exploit that mismatch. And she can do that to bigs as well. I mean, again, Katie Lou Samuelson's more of a forward. Rickea's shown a lot of this against bigs as well. That's, again, good stuff. Get her going in space from far out and over and up to the basket. So one of the other ways that I've really liked that they've gotten Rickea Jackson going is out of the post. Because with how much this team plays with size, so look at this right now. You have Cameron Brinks out there, who is ostensibly playing the 5. You have De'Arica Hamby out there who's playing the 4. So Rickea is playing the 3. Where this is fun is Diamond Shields is a very good defender. She's been really good this season. I think she's going to get, if she keeps playing the way that she has, barring injury, I think she has a real shot at all defense this year. Point being, you have Rickea, who is, I'd say, probably a good 2 inches taller than Diamond, and has a little bit of extra strength to her. So automatically, like, the Sparks did a really great job in this game saying, we're going to get Rickea the ball in the second half in the post. First opportunity right here, right out of the gates, their first possession down. Again, quick back down. Nothing's really going on the weak side. Fade, cash. It's just simple offense. And again, when you have a player like that who has that kind of size advantage, that ability to shoot over somebody, that's good stuff. And that's also just a great shot. And you can't really just call bank like that all the time. The Sparks come down in early offense. Chicago has played a lot of 3-guard lineups this year. So again, when you have a team that's playing 3 bigs, pretty much, well, I wouldn't, okay, Rickea is not really a big, but you get what I'm saying. When you're playing 3 players who are all like 6'2" and taller, this opens up a lot of opportunities on the one guard who's going to have to guard up. That's Kennedy Carter here, who again has had a solid defensive year, but Rickea is like 4 or 5 inches taller than Kennedy. Gets the seal, gets the ball, goes up, gets fouled, and also hits the shot. I will say, though, one of the things I'm interested in here that I want to see moving forward that I think, and it's not just this clip, I think in general, Rickea can do more to work on getting deeper seals. Because I think right here, like, this is not a starting point that I love. Like, I would love to see Rickea, try and back down Kennedy a little bit closer to the restricted area because she has the strength to do it. And again, this is great play. She gets the and one here. But I think when you're talking about her becoming a star eventually, or her just continuing to grow as an efficient player, can she get that back down? Can she get closer to the basket? Can she get more layups? Because as good as she is at hitting the shot, it's going to be more efficient to shoot at the rim, where she is really effective as well. Another thing, too, can you hit that baseline reverse? I think that's one of the things that I want to see from her growing as well. She's really good with the fadeaway, but I think continuing to find other ways to get closer to the basket is going to be big for her moving forward. But again, this is still a good play. When you're talking about a rookie playing their 9th game, I don't want to make it seem like I just think she's doing bad things. I think she's doing incredible things. But when I'm thinking of Rickea Jackson, an all-star in 3 or 4 years, I think these are the things that I'm envisioning playing out for her because she has that kind of ceiling and potential. Next play. We're looking at a post-up again. This time, she tries to go towards the baseline. Carly Samuelson does a good job cutting her off. And then she spins back to her left. Here's one of the areas for growth that I really want to see from Rickea. And that's number one, just her awareness on passing in general. I will say, when looking at, I think people might be turned off by her assist-to-turnover ratio. Part of that's what she's asked to do. She's been asked a lot more to be a scoring outlet than somebody who's creating plays. Like, I think she's still creating offense and creating shots, but I think it's been much more of like, okay, hey, we're clearing out the side for you to create with the ball in your hands. Obviously, I think they want to see her continue to grow as a playmaker for the Sparks. But right here is one where it's like, okay, I think this is one of the areas where you want to see her continue to grow. You have Kia Nurse in this opposite slot. I think that's, I don't know. When I've kind of gone back and forth on this play. I think in general, like, that's just a much harder pass to make than people give it credit for. Yes, Kia is open, but okay, you probably need to make this one-handed over the head, and you have to see it instantaneously. But that's still a way that she can grow and find things. The biggest thing I take away from this is I just want to see Rickea with her eyes up more when she is posted up, because I do think she has a tendency to like stare down the post a little bit and miss some reads. Like, there were some opportunities in the Chicago game where she would miss the opposite corner once she got to the middle. She did a good job again of drawing contact and stuff, but I think as she continues to be a player who draws more to the ball, who draws more help on post-ups, because I think she'll command that, I want to see her continue to grow in how she makes plays out of the post as well. And this is just, it's just a bad pass. It's a good play from Aaliyah Edwards, but also, like, you can't make that pass. So again, room to grow. That's good defense by the Mystics, but also, like, there's room to continue growing in that. And I think patience is going to be one of the things I want to continue to see grow from Rickea. Again, We're 9 games in. It's going to take time. Last play, and this is the one that I think stands out the most to me. Like, I thought about doing an entire video off just this play, and it's a small play, but it's one that matters a lot in my opinion. Because again, when we're talking about a player who is extremely versatile, who can do a lot of things, who can really use her size to her advantage against smalls, and then use her quickness against bigs, this is big. Okay, again, you have Dearica Hamby in the post. It's not a super clean pass, so Rickea instead hands it off to Ari McDonald. And then you might think, okay, this is Dearica Hamby calling for a flare, right? No. The Sky switched this, so Michaela Onyenwere is now on Ari McDonald. Rickea has Lindsay Allen on here. And this is just a great, smart vet move from Dearica Hamby. As soon as Ari passes the ball out to Kia Nurse, Hamby is calling out for Rickea, cut, duck in. You have Lindsay Allen on you. I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but you can, that's what she's saying. And this is the good stuff. No, she does not get the ball. It's not an offensive rebound. But again, gets inside, gets fouled. I believe she goes to the line off this. And it seems small, but these are the kind of things where when you have a player like Rickea who has that size, has the athleticism, has the skills, being able to take advantage of the plays where you are guarded and have a mismatch, even if you don't have the ball. Okay, can you find those opportunities to cut in and duck in for rebounds? Can you find those opportunities to cut in and duck in for post-ups? Like, that's how I think Rickea is going to go from being a good player to a great player, because I think there's room to really find ways to sniff out extra offense. And I think people will be surprised by how much you can actually generate from that. Like, I think a player who's really good at finding those opportunities could maybe get an extra 5 or 6 points per game out of that if they get really good at it. And again, it's not even just about the scoring, it's about the impact, because it makes it that much harder for a defense to switch against you if you're going to have these things happen all the time. Okay, so now I really want to dive into Rickea's pick and roll playmaking, some of the things she's done already, kind of coming out of ball screens, how she's handled certain coverages, some room for growth, and just reason for optimism in general. I think anytime you're talking about a player her size that can really handle the ball and make decisions coming off of screens, and also warrant being guarded coming off of screens, you're talking about a pretty special player. So I think that's why this is going to end up being a bulk of the video right here. So first play, it's not technically a ball screen, but teams will love running DHOs in place of pick and rolls because it mimics the action and makes it a lot harder to go under them as well. So flip into the side, Rickea coming off that angle, and then you just see her hit. This is it's kind of her patent. Her hezzy is like one of her strongest moves off the dribble, if not her strongest. So it's not even like a huge hezzy, but she just like pauses for a quick second, has the look over top to Hamby. Katie Lou Samuelson pauses a little bit on her front foot, and that's foul money for Rickea Jackson, fouled. Again, when you have a player who is this quick coming off at her size, that's this quick getting downhill, that can hit that quick hezzy, get downhill, easy foul. When we talk about those easy points, that matters a ton. Okay, so we have a similar sort of look, same outcome, but a different way of getting there. So that first look, we have Rickea hitting that hesitation. This time, she's facing a true big in Stephanie Suarez, who's playing more at the 4 here because she's been, the wings have been pretty, given their injuries, they've had to play with a lot of size up top. Again, you get that quick flip, really difficult screen angle to try and go under. So Segrist has to chase over top, essentially forces a switch. Rickea sees the space she has, also sees that it's Suarez. Suarez is in a really difficult position to defend this. Honestly, I think I'd imagine in film, they're probably wanting her to be up a little bit higher, but also it's tough because you don't want Hamby to slip out real quick like that. It's a tough play to guard. But again, Rickea comes off, and instead of, she pauses for that half beat, but then like kind of jets right in with her head down, gets fouled again. Again, good stuff when you talk about being able to put bigs in difficult spots. That's big time stuff. And I think even when you start thinking about, the Sparks having more, more talented lead guards moving forward, more experienced lead guards moving forward, there's going to be even easier stuff for this stuff to happen on the table. I think that's what stands out a ton. Like, the Sparks have to run a lot of sets and actions to get things easy right now because they just kind of lack guard play. That's part of where they're at. Like they have some solid guards, but they don't really have a true point guard. So um, being able to get to that spot eventually, it makes you even more excited thinking about the things that they can do setting up their bigs and forwards. Okay, next play. I think one of the things that's going to be interesting that we've already started to see a lot from Rickea is what happens when she draws unders. So when it's actually a pick and roll and it's not a dribble handoff, and teams just say, "Hey, we're going under on that." What happens? Right here, Christy Wallace goes under, but there's some miscommunication between her and Katie Lou Samuelson. KLS kind of darts at it a little bit, so Rickea has to go out wide, and she still finishes because she's a good finisher. Um, she can finish through contact. She's just really special at her size with her coordination and her ability to do that. But then you start kind of going into next areas. So, okay, right here, you get a similar play in the same game. Empty corner pick and roll for Rickea. Katie Lou Samuelson automatically, Fever are like, okay, we're going under. We don't want Rickea to drive to the basket on us. So essentially, when a team goes under, they're saying, we're okay with you taking this shot. Because the whole point of a ball screen is to create space one way or another. And it's a lot easier said than done to create space when a team concedes space to you. So they're saying, okay, we want you to take that. We're going to sell out to stop anything going to the paint. Granted, still strong from Rickea because she has that again, that damn hezzy. She's so good with it. So she's still able to get closer to the basket, but this is a tough shot diet to live on. Even when you're a player who is good at hitting these kinds of shots, which I would say Rickea is. Like she shoots around like 40-ish% on these kind of pull-ups for her career. She hasn't yet in the W, but I think she'll get there given where she was at Tennessee and Mississippi State. But again, falling away, pull up, leaning, really tough shot diet to live on. You don't want you want to be able to hit those when it matters most. You don't want to have to hit those all the time. And I think part of her growth process is going to be getting to a place where either you're scripting stuff so that the unders can't happen, or she's taking this three so that they don't want to give the under. And I think that's a real viable thing for her to get to that spot. Now we're here against Phoenix, and you have the same thing. One of the things, too, I talked about it in a recent video, but I love the way Phoenix has used Natasha Cloud defensively. They have not been a great team thus far, but they're showing some stuff that's interesting. But again, here you're talking about again. When a team automatically says, okay, we're giving you this space, and they shrink the court and they're comfortable with it, what do you do with that? Like, that is just a lot easier said than done to find something from that. Because, again, the whole point of a ball screen, create space, put a gap in the defense. Okay, but there's no gap here. So, again, I think I would like to see Rickea just take the three instead. Obviously, steps in and take the pull-up too. It's not even about the miss. I think when you're just talking about the process in general of what's happening here, I'm going to be interested to see how they keep evolving out from that as a team and what they want Rickea to do, because growing out to become like a more full three-level scorer is going to be key in her becoming an even better player. This one is it's not an under here because again that's a hard screening angle. It's hard angle in general for Chrissy Wallace to go under that. One of the things that I think with Rickea, she's got that first step like we've talked about. One of the most important things to unlocking a first step is having like kind of a transmission, almost like a car. Like you want to be able to, not always have to use that. I think that's part of her having the hezzy is like a step in that direction, right? You want to be able to take these angles and use them against your opponent. So like I see this and I'm like, what if her angle could be a little bit tighter going around a screen? Because right now I think that's another area for growth. It seems small, but she could really earn herself so much more space if she's able to take some tighter angles, be a little bit smoother getting around screens. I'm nitpicking, but I think again, when you're talking about, finding those rooms for efficiency, I think that's an area I want to see. Granted, like this is kind of a wide pitch, to be fair. I'm not trying to, be unfair, but again, you have this action happen and nothing really comes out of it. Part of that too, again, like it's not an amazing screen by Cam. There's a lot that you can nitpick about it, but I think if you're able to take a tighter angle, you can force this to be more of a two-player game because as soon as Chrissy Wallace gets over that, it's like, all right, well, there's nothing. Like Cam doesn't have anything open on the roll. Aaliyah's right there. Slot's not open. Like there's really not anything to do other than reset. And you don't want to reset all that off. Like, I mean, you're never going to not reset as an offense. Like there's always going to be possessions where you have to reset. But point being, you want to see this turn into something, right? And especially when you talk about Cam and Rickea playing together and finding that kind of synergy, I think being able to slow down, like say, okay, I'm putting Christy Wallace on my back hip instead of me coming out this far. Like, what if coming off right here, I'm able to, come inside really quickly and be able to use that to my advantage by putting Christy on my back hip. Rickea never really got into putting defenders in jail like that in college. And granted, like they were not a high pick and roll system at Tennessee. I think there's a lot of room to keep kind of figuring things out and improve from there. But it's the small things that I'm going to be very interested to see as they keep kind of figuring those things out as a team. Okay, so now I want to dive into some of the actual playmaking reads. So right here, high pick and roll in the middle of the floor. Izzy Harrison comes up to show. Diamond to Shields goes over, and this is a great little slip out by Dearica Hamby. So automatically you have the slip, so there's space right here. Dearica can get the ball in the roll. I love what Rickea does. So okay, takes a step out to his side, draws the defense out a little bit, uses her eyes. Obviously, this is not. I mean, the pass is off. It's early in the season. I understand it takes time. It's not even about the pass to me. It's I want to see her engage defenders even more here if she's able to force this to happen. So if she's able to take, all right, let's say like another step out, or she can continue to force this 2-player game to happen. All right, Elizabeth Williams is coming over, and even if the ball is not coming over, she has to tag up Dearica Hamby as she's slipping out. So then let's say Rickea holds on to this ball instead of letting it out early. If she takes like 1 step or 2 steps into here, like just above the free throw line, and still has her defenders engaged while Elizabeth Williams is tagging up, look who's wide open in the corner, Cam Brink. That kind of play, if Rickea is able to get comfortably into manipulating the defense, so using what happens out of the ball screen to create an opening elsewhere on the court, that's a big time play for somebody her size. And again, I think that's something that's going to be readily available to her much sooner rather than later. So it's going to be interesting to see how she continues to grow in that regard. But I think the whole point is when you have 2 on the ball, when you draw 2 on the ball, which Rickea is capable of doing, you want to maintain that kind of coverage against you as long as possible to open up the biggest gap in the defense. So again, how can she keep taking advantage of that? And that's something we dive into right away on the next play. This is, again, you talk about that empty side ball screen DHO action between Rickea and Hamby, which again, like anything with Hamby in empty side has just been found money for this team. Probably their best offense, in my opinion. So Rickea takes this, goes inside, Hamby slips towards baseline. Aaliyah Edwards steps up. And I like what Rickea tries to do here. She does like a little bit of a no look. She looks off Cam in the corner. No looks to Hamby. This is a great play on the ball by Aaliyah Edwards. But I also would say, and this is me nitpicking, I would say that this is probably not like the decision I want from Rickea. Like, again, when you're talking here, you want to engage that defender. You want to keep that defender engaged. I think if she takes another step in, like another step closer towards Aaliyah, that pass is way more available. And even then, I think about what else happens. Like, okay, even if that pass doesn't become available, if you're still getting closer to the free throw line, think about what's happening here. All right, Dolson is already starting to slide over to pick up Hamby on that drive because Aaliyah has to stunt inbound to not give up the open drive, right? So if Dolson's already rotating over, Van Loo is, zoning up the slot and the corner, Cam's already getting ready to 45 cut. So if Cam 45 cuts, she probably takes up Van Loo. That also gives Rickea a passing outlet. But I think even more, again, like we just talked about on the last play, all right, if Rickea gets like here, and then, okay, Aaliyah's starting to recover, but Steph's here, and Cam already cut in, and then Steph has to recover, and Van Loo's still here, okay, then Lexi Brown, wide open in the corner. And then you think, all right, well, here's Ariel Atkins having to come, cover down, and Van Loo's going to have to X out, and then Lexi's already kicking it out to a wide open 3 for Kia Nurse. Point being, it's all about the layers of it with the pick and roll game and making those reads. And again, it's really early. It's nitpicking, but it's all stuff that I think we can really see maybe even grow towards the end of this year as she continues to get more reps as a ball handler. Okay, so next play. Now we're starting to get into some of the reads where she's really just done things extremely well. Granted, this is from preseason, but I think she's had a couple plays like this during the year. Again, we talk about that empty corner handoff between Rickea and Hamby. Does a good job waiting because again, like I think one of the something I've kind of gotten at but not said explicitly, when you are getting a screen, you have to wait for it. I think that's when I talk about the angles for Rickea. I think a big part of getting better with the angles is not always being full speed all the time because she has a tendency right now to like not even look at the 3-point line. Like she is just coming off the handoff or off the ball screen, right? And that makes it a lot easier for defenses to guard you because they're like, okay, well, we're just not going to go there. This is a great spot right here because Rickea gets the ball, sizes up for a second, lets the screen be set, and then comes off. That's perfection. Like that's exactly what you want. Comes off, has the defender on her back, hits the hezzy. So Joyner Holmes sees the hezzy, then recovers, takes the recovery step out to Dearica Hamby. And then, oh, look, Rickea Jackson is wide open on the drive. Easy points. Again, it's preseason, so you don't want to take too much away from it. But point being, all right, even if, like we're talking about, if that she is getting this uncovered look is big, that she's able to make this happen, get the defender on the back hip, find this open lane after hitting that hesitation dribble. I think in a perfect world, Dulcie Fink and Mengiadu would have slid over here, and then, okay, maybe you're making that pass out to Cam, or you're making the pass out to the slot after Jay Melbourne sinks down. Like, point being, you have the world at your fingertips when you're able to do this at 6'2", 6'3". Like, that's awesome stuff. And then you flow into the last play, which to me, I think this is one of the best plays that Rickea has had this entire season, if not the best play in this game against Dallas. So technically like a Spain action, but they kind of blow up the screen. Well, not even blow up the screen. They just don't really let the screen happen, so it doesn't really happen. But then Dearica Hamby comes up, sets a difficult screen. So again, it's all about screening angles because I think if this screen is set more flat, like I think that they probably go under it with Segrist. But they say, okay, no, Segrist, you got to go over. And more importantly, Tierra McCowan, you are in this action and you have to defend Rickea Jackson. And so I love this. Again, Rickea hits the quick hezzy and then drives. But again, it's the patience. So like technically, yeah, she could have tried to go up, get fouled here. But it's the fact that she doesn't that stands out to me and that I really love. Makes this nice little wraparound pass to Cameron Brink. Again, Uzin is kind of out here. I won't even say no man's land. She's zoned up, so it's her job to do that. And then Billings is supposed to X out, I believe. They could be doing it differently, but that's my interpretation of this play. Lexi Brown does a great job of relocating out, so that's an even harder recovery. Good pass by Cam, and then a wide open shot. But again, this all gets set up by Rickea making a really smart play, collapsing the defense, draws 3.5 defenders, makes a smart play, doesn't even get the assist, but she's the one who creates this play. And again, I think this is the stuff that Rickea Jackson can get to doing every single game for large swaths of her career. Like that is the stuff, again, when you talk about players who are 6'2", 6'3", I keep saying 6'2", 6'3", just because like I've seen her height listed differently. Who knows? Point being, when you are that size, you can score from all areas of the court, and you can force defenses to have to guard you in different ways and respect you from all areas of the court, and then unlock that with your passing. You're talking about a very special player. And I think that's who Rickea Jackson can become. I think Cameron Brink and Rickea Jackson have the potential to be one of the great front courts of the next era of the WNBA as the league expands and the game keeps developing in a modern way. And I'm just so excited to see how that continues to happen. We have a lot of ball left. Obviously, Minnesota and the Lynx play tonight, so I'm excited to watch that game, as you should be as well. If you have not already, please be sure to go sub to my channel down below, like this video, comment. That helps with the algorithm. And I'm always open for feedback. I'm still kind of learning and growing as I build out my YouTube channel and learn how to do content in different ways. But I hope you guys enjoy. Enjoy the rest of your day.